Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Martial Universe Season 9 Part 30 based on novel. So let's start. 51 million. 52 million. Lin Dong watched as the various big factions continuously bidded. The current bidding had already been pushed to quite a heated level. A price of 50 million was already considered quite a large sum even to them. Hence, after the bidding price had once again been raised to 55 million, there were finally some large factions who sat down unwillingly. However, from their somewhat gloomy expressions, it was clear that they would not easily give up this small silver tower. It seemed that everyone understood that this competition in the auction ground would not mean truly obtaining the small silver tower. At the very most, it would allow one to gain an advantage. Lin Dong observed the auction area. Currently, there were only 3 large factions still bidding. They were the Demonic Wind Cave, Universe Cave, and the Illusionary Demon Sect. It was obvious that none of the 3 were willing to give up. The already rather expensive price had finally stabilized at 61 million after some intense competition. It was the Demonic Wind Cave which had offered this final bid. They are really wealthy, Lin Dong smiled faintly, and looked at the Demonic Wind Cave, which had managed to emerge victorious from amongst the many competitors. There was a playful expression in his eyes. Brother Xie Yang seems to be really generous. This small silver tower might be related to a reincarnation stage expert's cave dwelling, but this has not been completely verified. Nevertheless, you are able to spend such a price to purchase it, how bold. Zhu Gan smacked his mouth and laughed softly towards Xie Yang. Thank you for your reminder, Brother Zhu Gan. However, I think that this object is worth the price. Xie Yang gave a superficial smile and said. There was some fury within his heart. If it was not because of the final fight with Zhu Gan, the price would not have risen to such an extent. Zhu Gan smiled and softly said, in that case, I will congratulate Brother Xie Yang. However, I truly hope that you will be able to successfully bring it back to the Demonic Wind Cave. Zhu Gan's smile was a little strange as he uttered these words. At the same time, the other large factions also curled their lips. They casually leaned against the backrest of their chairs, and lowered their eyes slightly. Nevertheless, chilling light flashed within their eyes. Xie Yang was naturally able to detect these strange gazes. He immediately laughed coldly and replied, in that case, let's wait and see. Tang Dongling watched this great bidding war come to an end from the auction stage. She smiled sweetly and said, since no one is offering a higher bid, this small silver tower will belong to the Demonic Wind Cave for a price of 61 million Shen Yuan pills. A series of low commotions were emitted from the entire auction ground at this moment. However, the strange thing was that many people's expressions appeared somewhat unusual. Their gazes intersected with each other, while greed surged deep within their eyes. Let's go. The auction is over. Lin Dong smilingly glanced at Xie Yang, before standing up and speaking to Mu Lingshan. Mu Lingshan nodded. She also understood that although the auction was over, the true fun had only just begun. It was likely that these people from the Demonic Wind Cave would experience a headache during the next few days. Lin Dong led Mu Lingshan out of the auction ground, before entering the Sky Merchant Court. He wanted to retrieve the items he had gained from the auction. Lin Dong and Mu Lingshan were brought by a female servant to a VIP room, where they waited for a moment. Finally, they saw the slim figure of Tang Dongling appearing in their sights. Brother Lin Dong, the core spiritual birth serum that you have auctioned obtained a total of 12,500,000 Shen Yuan pills. This is the remainder after deducting the cost of the volcano flame essence stones and the things that you have bought in the auction. Tang Dongling smilingly handed over a Qiankuan bag and said, other than the corpse, everything that you have purchased are inside. I have troubled Miss Tang. Lin Dong nodded. After which, he looked towards Mu Lingshan beside him. The latter lifted her head and smilingly said to Tang Dongling, this elder sister is afraid that I cannot fork out the money to purchase the corpse, right? Tang Dongling was a little embarrassed. However, she was good at hiding her emotions. Her delicate finger drew past Mu Lingshan's smooth face and smilingly said, the corpse might be expensive, but it has not yet reached the point where elder sister will feel some pain. At the very most, I can help brother Lin Dong pay for it. Lass, you should stop fooling around. Lin Dong helplessly shook his head. Mu Lingshan smiled happily. She waved her small hand, and a Qianquan bag appeared within, and was subsequently handed it to Tang Dongling. All right, the 20 million Shen Yuan pills are all inside. Tang Dongling received it. She did not check its contents. Instead, she handed it to the female servant beside her. After which, a couple of people carried the crystal coffin in. Lin Dong looked at the corpse within the crystal coffin, as excitement flashed deep within his eyes. Subsequently, he slowly stepped forward and touched the crystal coffin. He could vaguely detect a faint trace of devouring power being emitted from the corpse inside it. Brother Lin Dong, this corpse is quite strange. Any energy that approaches it will disappear in a strange manner. You should be careful if you intend to do anything to it. Tang Dongling cautioned from the side. Thank you. Lin Dong smiled and nodded. He waved his sleeve, and kept this crystal coffin into his Qianquan bag. The devouring ancestral symbol was within his body. Hence, there was no need to worry about any strange movements of this devouring sky corpse. It seems that brother Lin Dong has some understanding of this corpse. Tang Dongling's pretty eyes flashed as she softly inquired. Not really. Lin Dong replied in a vague manner. Fortunately, this devouring sky corpse was far too rare. If it was not for Yang, even he would not be aware that this thing was actually refined from the devouring ancestral symbol. If the Sky Merchant Court was to learn that they had sold a corpse that could be comparable to a Samsara stage expert in the future for 20 million Shen Yuan pills, it was likely that even the Sky Merchant Court's master would charge out with a red face. It was best that others did not know about this matter. Tang Dongling was aware that Lin Dong was unwilling to divulge anything after seeing how he avoided the question. She merely smiled in response. The reason that she had asked was due to her own curiosity. After all, their Sky Merchant Court had used all its means, but had still failed to find out the origin of this corpse. That's right. Brother Lin Dong, the Sky Merchant City might be a little chaotic during these few days. You should be careful. Tang Dongling hesitated for a moment, before suddenly speaking. Lin Dong's eyes flickered. Currently, the small silver tower had landed in the hands of the demonic Wind Cave. The remaining large factions would likely be unwilling to simply leave things be. Moreover, given their background, they were not afraid of offending the demonic Wind Cave. If they had the opportunity to do so, they would definitely snatch the small silver tower from the hands of the demonic Wind Cave. Hence, there would definitely be a bloody battle. Thank you for your warning, Miss Tang. Since the transaction is over, I should be heading back now. Lin Dong cupped his hands together, and smiled at Tang Dongling. Without further ado, he led Mu Lingshan and left under Tang Dongling's eyes. They had only just reached the exit of the Sky Merchant Court, when they saw a surge in the crowd in front of them. Soon after, he saw the group from the demonic Wind Cave walking in amidst many comments from various people. Xie Yang was standing at the front. When Lin Dong saw Xie Yang, the latter also clearly spotted him. Immediately, a cold light flashed across his eyes. He walked forward and laughed coldly. You are really bold to dare to appear in front of me. The one who is currently in trouble is not me. Let's talk after you can successfully bring that item out of the Sky Merchant region. It looks like there will be a good show to watch during these few days. Lin Dong smiled teasingly at Xie Yang. After which, he ceased speaking, and directly walked past the latter, and out of the Sky Merchant Court. You bastard! Xie Yang's expression was a little ugly, as he watched Lin Dong brush past him. His fist was tightly clenched. It was likely that he would have been able to resist attacking the former, if it had not been for the special circumstances he was currently in. Let's go, Junior Cave Chief. We should hurry and take the item. There is still a need for us to plan how to escape. It is not worthwhile to fight that brat now. The black-clothed elder beside Xie Yang softly said. Xie Yang breathed in deeply and nodded. He was aware that they were currently being watched at by countless jealous eyes. It was impossible for them to divert any attention to bother about Lin Dong. Lin Dong led Mu Lingshan out from the sky merchant court. After which, he lifted his head. There seemed to be dark clouds slowly gathering in the distant azure sky. The stifling atmosphere had a bloody scent surging within it. The fun is about to begin. Lin Dong rubbed his hands and smiled faintly. He had found a clue to the second ancestral symbol after so many years. Would he give up so easily? The answer was clearly a no. Inside the spacious room, Lin Dong took out the Sea King spirit grass he had purchased from the auction. After which, he tossed it towards Mu Lingshan as he smiled and said, "Take it. Use it to resolve the seal on your body." Mu Lingshan extended her small hands, and hastily received it. Joy surfaced within her large eyes, as she beamed and said, "I have finally obtained it. Humph, once I undo the seal, I will definitely pluck all of the teeth belonging to those blood demon sharks the next time I see them." Lin Dong chuckled and replied, "We still have another activity before that. Are we going to snatch the silver tower from that fellow?" Mu Lingshan's big eyes brightened. She leaned forward with great interest. Good, good. That fellow are so hateful. We will snatch his stuff and make him die in anger." Lin Dong looked at the little girl who seemed to desire the world to plunge into chaos, and did not know whether to laugh or cry. After rubbing her small head, he said, "You should resolve this seal of yours first. Snatching that item will not be an easy matter. We still need to plan." Mu Lingshan nodded. She clearly understood that if she was unable to resolve the seal, given her current strength, she would only be a burden if she accompanied Lin Dong to snatch the item. Mu Lingshan waved her small hand, as the black life-death coffin cover flashed and appeared. She leaped onto it, and dense blue light erupted from within her body, while the Sea King spirit grass also emitted a jade-green light. Raw? Blood light surged on Mu Lingshan's shoulder the moment she activated the Yuan power within her body, as a blood-colored light shark appeared. Its sharp teeth firmly bit her shoulder. Blood light invaded her body, and blocked Mu Lingshan's Yuan power from being circulated. Mu Lingshan bit her lips, as the seals formed by her small hands changed. That jade-green light that the Sea King spirit grass in her hands had transformed into surged into her body. After which, it attacked the blood-colored light shark. This Sea King spirit grass seemed to have a great suppression effect on the seal. Hence, the blood light was quickly forced back wherever the green light passed. That fierce blood-colored shark, which was originally swaggering mightily, swiftly fell into a weary state. It is indeed effective. Lin Dong watched this scene with joy. It seemed that this Sea King spirit grass did indeed have a great effect on the seal placed on Mu Lingshan. This allowed him to sigh in relief. After all, if Mu Lingshan was able to recover her strength, she would definitely be a great help to future operations. I will also use this period of time to control the sky-devouring corpse. Lin Dong smiled. He waved his sleeve, and the burning sky cauldron flew out. His body moved and flew into it. He would definitely use the devouring ancestral symbol in order to control the corpse. Hence, it was best to be a little careful. The interior of the burning sky cauldron appeared even steadier and mightier than in the past. 8 locations in the sky vaguely emitted some fluctuations. They appeared just like sky-supporting pillars that completely stabilized this entire realm. With the 8 burning sky gates, the burning sky cauldron was clearly much more powerful than before. Lin Dong's eyes swept around. After which, he flicked his finger, and a crystal coffin appeared in a flash. A completely black corpse was quietly standing within the coffin. Lin Dong's hand rubbed the crystal coffin. Yuan power shook, and completely shattered the crystal coffin. As the crystal coffin scattered, the black corpse was completely exposed under Lin Dong's eyes. Lin Dong's eyes contained some excitement as he carefully observed this corpse. The latter's black shriveled body was covered with many claw-like scars, and there was a large fist-sized deep hole on its back. One could tell that it had experienced quite a desperate battle a very long time ago. Lin Dong examined the corpse. He thought for a moment, before flicking his finger. A pillar of formidable Yuan power shot out, and ruthlessly blasted its body. However, The corpse did not even budge in the face of this attack. Only when the Yuan power force shot onto its body did that dark surface emit a black light, and dissolved Lin Dong's Yuan power attack in a flash. It is indeed devouring power. Lin Dong softly muttered to himself. He was incomparably familiar with devouring power. Hence, he naturally clearly understood that his Yuan power was being devoured by the corpse at the moment of contact. Yang, how should I control it? Lin Dong asked within his mind. Although he was the current owner of the devouring ancestral symbol, he was clearly far from being able to utilize the devouring ancestral symbol in a manner that was as terrifying as the devouring master back then. Submerge your mind into the devouring ancestral symbol and circulate the devouring power into its body. Subsequently, all you need to do is to create a devouring seal. Yang replied. Lin Dong inclined his head upon hearing this. He extended his hand, and black light gathered on it. After which, it transformed into a light circle. Soon after, his finger moved forward, and gently touched the chest of the corpse. Another black light ripple scattered the moment Lin Dong's fingers touched the devouring sky corpse. However, when the light that contained the devouring power touched Lin Dong's fingers, it was blocked by the devouring power lingering around his fingertip. Two clusters of devouring power intermingled. After which, Lin Dong clearly felt his mind charge into the devouring sky corpse's body without any effort through the point of contact. The scene before Lin Dong's eyes changed the moment he charged in. After which, he discovered that he seemed to be deep within a vast starry sky. This unexpected change caused Lin Dong to be slightly startled. However, he quickly recovered. It was likely that this scene was a mental image that someone had left inside the body of the sky-devouring corpse. Lin Dong stood in this starry sky. Suddenly, he seemed to have sensed something, and quickly lifted his head. His pupils abruptly shrunk, as he peered into the distance above his head. It seemed as though a 10 million feet large black crack had appeared at the end of his sight. The crack appeared like a ravine in the sky. At the end of the darkness was an indescribably evil aura. Rushing wind sounds appeared in the distance the moment that crack appeared. A figure that was completely wrapped in black light stepped on the air and walked over. Black holes seemed to fill the air around this figure, as numerous black light vortexes formed and disappeared. From a distance, he appeared like the creator of black holes. A tear between the planes. The black light figure looked at the indescribably huge black crack. It seemed as though a low and deep voice slowly echoed. Lin Dong observed the black light figure. The devouring power that spread from within the latter's body made Lin Dong aware of his identity. The devouring master. There was a completely still person standing behind the devouring master. If one was to look carefully, it was surprisingly the sky-devouring corpse that Lin Dong had obtained. Let me see just what you are. The serene black eyes of the devouring master observed the crack between the planes. His body moved, and he actually transformed into a flash of black light that shot directly into the crack, while the sky-devouring corpse closely followed behind. Lin Dong watched the two figures charging into the crack between planes, and his scalp involuntarily turned numb. Behind the crack should be the so-called main camp of the Yimo. This devouring master was really domineering. To actually dare to directly charge in. Bang bang. Soon after the devouring master charged into this crack between planes, an earth-shaking fluctuation began to unfurl from within it. A terrifying and evil monstrous aura spread. It appeared as though the sky itself had become completely dark at this moment. The trembling within the crack continued for a long time, before an earth-shaking furious roar was emitted. Lin Dong seemed to see 100,000 feet large giant hand flash past within the crack. A frightening fluctuation was transmitted over, as a flash of black light shot out from the crack. It was the devouring master who had charged in previously. The devouring master stabilized his body. His expression was a lot more solemn, as he looked at the crack. After which, he turned around and left without saying anything. He was about to leave, when a 10,000 feet large giant finger extended from the crack between the planes. It pressed onto the empty space, and an evil black light beam tore through space, and blasted towards the devouring master with lightning speed. The devouring master did not turn around to block it. However, When the black light was about to strike him, that sky-devouring corpse suddenly charged forward. It used its body to forcibly receive that black light beam. The devouring master's figure flickered and quickly left. On the other hand, the glow of the sky-devouring corpses dimmed. After which, it powerlessly fell, and finally descended into a certain area of the deep sea. The scene before him suddenly came to a stop the moment the sky-devouring corpse fell into the sea. Lindorm's mind withdrew from within, as he pursed his lips. It seemed that this sky-devouring corpse had been damaged into such a state after having helped the devouring master block a relatively powerful attack back then. These ancient scenes really caused one to constantly feel shock that was impossible to describe in words. Lindorm sighed softly. His black light-infused finger drew past the forehead of the sky-devouring corpse. A black symbol appeared on its forehead, before slowly fading. The moment that symbol was formed, Lindorm could clearly sense that he seemed to possess the ability to control the sky-devouring corpse before him. Have I successfully taken control of it? Lindorm's expression was happy, as he looked at the sky-devouring corpse before him. He could clearly sense a trace of a connection being formed between the corpse and himself the moment the symbol was formed. Lindorm's eyes were burning as he stared at the sky-devouring corpse. With a thought, the corpse's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. A solemn look seemed to flit across those pitch-black as ink-like eyes. Even with Lindorm's composure, he could not help but laugh heartily upon seeing this scene. Controlling the sky-devouring corpse was a lot easier than he had imagined. If the Sky Merchant Court knew how this thing, that they had felt helpless against, was actually so swiftly controlled by Lindorm, it was likely that they would feel quite depressed. However, there was nothing that could be done. Lindorm was the only person in the world who possessed the devouring ancestral symbol. Only a symbol condensed from the devouring power could remain inside the body of the sky-devouring corpse. Any other energy that entered the sky-devouring corpse would be devoured without hesitation by the devouring power within the body of the corpse. Although this sky-devouring corpse can still be used, it is in a half-crippled state. Yang drifted out from Lindorm's body. He glanced at the sky-devouring corpse in front of him and said, "If you really wish to repair it, you can only use the devouring ancestral symbol to slowly nourish it." Lindorm nodded. He did not have whimsical thoughts of being able to allow the sky-devouring corpse to recover to its peak strength immediately. Food must be eaten bite by bite. He was already rather satisfied in having obtained it. Even though this sky-devouring corpse is in a half-crippled state, even an expert who has genuinely stepped into the profound death stage will have difficulty completely destroying it. Yang said, "Of course, it's a pity that its condition is so terrible and its offensive strength has crippled so greatly. Otherwise, it would be able to kill even a profound death stage expert. Currently, it can only deal with a perfect profound life stage expert." Lindorm grinned. In other words, this sky-devouring corpse's defensive strength should be similar to a profound death stage expert, and had the offensive power of a perfect profound life stage expert. This was already rather substantial battle power. Although it is unable to kill a profound life stage expert, it should not be difficult for it to delay one with just its defensive strength alone. Lindorm chuckled and said, "Even those profound death stage experts would have a headache if they encountered such a sticky gum that they would be unable to kill or shake off." Yang nodded. He did not deny these words. Regardless of how crippled the sky-devouring corpse was, it was ultimately something that the devouring master had refined to fight the Yimo back then. Lindorm pondered for a while after having gained control over the corpse. With a clench of his hand, the unknown sea map he had bought from the auction appeared within it. After which, his mental energy spread, imprinting the map into his mind. This continued for a long time, before he opened his eyes in a somewhat helpless manner. This is also not it. Although the sea map recorded an unknown sea region, it was not something that Lindorm needed. It seemed that he would only be able to obtain the exact location of the Thunderbolt ancestral symbol from the small silver tower. "I can only target that thing," Lindorm muttered. "The demonic wind cave has sent many people this time." From the looks of the situation back then, there were two people who had reached the perfect profound life stage at Xie Yang's side, while that Xie Yang has also reached the peak of the advanced profound life stage. One more step, and he will be able to enter the perfect profound life stage. This lineup was considered rather powerful. If it was not because the temptation from the small silver tower was far too great, it was likely that hardly anyone would think of targeting them. Unfortunately, there weren't so many IFS in this world. Since Xie Yang was the first to snatch the small silver tower, he should also be clearly aware that it will not be easy to bring this item out of the Sky Merchant region with a bunch of wolves gathering around him. Lin Dong had a premonition that Xie Yang's group would not remain in Sky Merchant City for long. Although this was the territory of Sky Merchant Court, and everyone would give the Sky Merchant Court some face in the beginning, a few days later, someone would surely be unable to endure and strike. There will be a good show to watch when that time came. Lin Dong curled the corner of his mouth as his thoughts reached this point. His smile had a gloating feeling to it. Although the auction had already ended, the population of the city did not decrease in the following few days. Many experts continued to remain here. Moreover, their eyes were all locked onto a certain direction while they waited. That place was where the demonic wind cave was staying. From the looks of it, it seemed that there were many people within the city who coveted the small silver tower in the demonic wind cave's hands. Although numerous people were clearly knew their limits, Sky Merchant City practically a wolf's den now. The demonic wind cave was akin to a mighty lion dragging around some food. Although the lion was very intimidating, this intimidation was currently relatively weak. Xie Yang's group were also aware of this situation, and they similarly had their own tricks. In a single day, they had spent a great price to hire many powerful guards from within Sky Merchant City. They clearly intended to use wolves to guard against the other wolves. However, those remaining big factions in Sky Merchant City merely looked on with cold eyes. This temporary external aid hired by the demonic wind cave would not be of much use at a critical juncture. Moreover, there might even be some amongst the group who were planning on turning on them. At that time, the demonic wind cave would only end up in a chaos. Lin Dong sat on the edge of a tall building within the city. He somewhat lazily looked in the northwest direction of the city. Soon after, he laughed softly and muttered, "They should be moving soon, right?" A gloomy-looking Xie Yang slowly stood up in a deep and quiet courtyard while Lin Dong's words sounded. His eyes looked at the surrounding demonic wind cave experts within the room. Finally, they paused on a skinny figure in a corner. "In that case, let's act as planned. We will leave the city this afternoon." Afternoon arrived extremely quickly. The moment the sun lowered in the west, Lin Dong, who was seated atop the building, suddenly had a change in expression. At the same time, he could sense the atmosphere of the entire city suddenly ripple for a moment. Are they unable to endure any longer? Lin Dong involuntarily smiled a little, as he sensed this slight change. After which, he lifted his head. He could hear countless rushing wind sounds suddenly appearing in the northwest. A couple of hundred individuals rushed out from hidden areas, before rushing out of the city. Lin Dong stood up on the building. He ignored chaotic scenery of countless figures in the sky. Instead, his gaze focused on 3 areas. These 3 areas had the most powerful presences. Clearly, they should be the main forces of the demonic wind cave. They have actually scattered as a distraction. Lin Dong's brow slightly raised. He could see that those large factions from all over the city, which had been vigilantly watching the demonic wind cave, had begun to move. The locations that they had locked onto were those 3 strongest groups. The Silver Tower is not with any of these people. These people are all covers, Yang's voice sounded at this moment. Lin Dong grinned. That Xie Yang would never expect that Yang had already locked onto the fluctuation from the Silver Tower back at the auction ground. All of Xie Yang's plans were useless at this moment. Let me see just how long you can keep hiding. Lin Dong crossed his arms over his chest. His eyes were filled with mockery. At this moment, Sky Merchant City had undoubtedly become extremely chaotic. Countless experts rushed through the sky like a swarm of locusts. After which, they chased those individuals from the demonic wind cave. Even several large factions ended up chasing the 3 groups with powerful auras. This continued for around half an hour. Only then did the city become a little more peaceful. The silver tower is heading towards the north. Yang's voice suddenly sounded. The smile on Lin Dong's face became even wider after hearing this. After which, he whistled, and directly rushed towards the north of the city. A petite figure swiftly followed behind him. Lin Dong's body whistled through the air amidst the setting sun. His shining eyes gazed in the direction where the fluctuation originated, as he softly muttered, "Just where will you run to this time around? That silver tower will be mine at all cost." This video will end here.